The American Recut, a spoiler-free review show where I, Nick,
And I, Brendan, dissect films and television to save you from atrocious media.
Today's film is Men in Black International. The Men in Black have always protected the Earth from the scum of the universe. In this new adventure, they tackle their biggest threat to date, a mole in the Men in Black organization. Directed by F. Gary Gray and written by Matt Holloway and Art Markham.
Boy, that was some synopsis right there.
I am the best at synopsis.
That was pretty well read, although that was also kind of short, too.
It was a decently long synopsis for these kinds of films, especially considering it was two different sentences, which usually a no-no, but it's not the end of the world.
Speaking of end of the world, Men in Black International, where they fight on many fronts.
It may not be the end of the world, but it should be the end of Sony. Again.
God, no joke.
Now, but with Men in Black International, it brings all the prestige and charm that you would expect when you hear the name Sony Productions. As is a running trend with many of Sony's previous productions, this one was a little bit underwhelming. Let's just go with the usual point by point, and I'll add a special point, consistency, for this one. Now I'll get into that a little bit more in both the ramble on and when we get to it. But first, let's talk story. What are your points on story here?
The story was a little confusing and also incredibly fast-paced.
Yeah, this is a story where the characters have that classic problem of teleporting to where they need to go and distance, not being discussed ever.
No.
It's got a lot of things where superficially it's a story, but it's very paint by the numbers, basic. Pretty much, if you ever saw a single thread or read a single YouTube comment on the trailers that came out beforehand, they were dead on and you know what the plot is.
Oh yeah, very much so. No, it was heavily telegraphed in the trailers how this movie was going to be, and overall impression, meh. Especially in regards to the plot, which was incredibly fast-paced and
predictable at the same time.
Yeah.
The effects. They're fine.
Yeah, I mean, they were alright.
The camera was fine, the effects were fine, the aliens looked a little bit CGI and stupid, but otherwise fine.
Yeah, oh yeah. Characters. Molly, well, okay. M and H are two agents du jour. They were mediocre. They were, cut and dry.
They weren't terrible, but they also didn't stand out. There weren't really many characters that particularly stood out in this movie. They mostly just did their job. Though I have some problems with some of the characters for their consistency, but I'll get into that later.
Right. No, like you said, consistency. They were very cookie cutter. Anyway, themes. Were there any themes?
If you're going to neuralize people, do it right.
Yeah, right. If you're going to neuralize someone, do it right. Anyway, I don't know why I did that in a southern voice.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah.
And finally, consistency. That's a major problem with this movie, which I won't get into details about it yet, but this movie is very inconsistent in many ways. The characters flip-flop on what their characteristics are, scenes will kind of flip between things, rules of the universe will be forgotten a lot of times, and then remembered randomly. There's one scene that's in the trailer where they land in the middle of a bunch of people with the bike, and then she's like, I gotta neuralize these people, we gotta go quick. And then she forgets to neuralize anybody else during the 10-minute chase scene, before and after that. It also plays pretty fast and loose with some of the previous movies and themes, and it kind of plays really fast and loose with the general feeling of the movie as well.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a yo-yo effect, and it leaves you feeling a little bit jarred and not caring what's happening on the screen.
I feel like this yo-yo effect is more exuberated through his characters because, like you said, they flip-flop so much. It's just...
All right, now so let's get into the recommendation before we get into the ramble on. Brendan, would you recommend seeing this film in theaters?
Oh, absolutely not. No, I wouldn't even pay to see this movie at the comfort of my own home.
Yep, this is yet another in a long string of Sony films that are lacking in quality, good actor. Well, it's got good actors. I respect Chris Hemsworth. I respect many of the people that were in this film. I respect Liam Neeson enough, but this is a Sony film. It's exactly what you would expect just hearing that. So, no, I don't recommend it.
Given its streak, yeah, no. All right. Well, this has been Brendan.
And this has been Nick.
We'll
We'll see you in the Ramble On.
Yeah.